How we doing? How we doing? This is Destination Denver, Colorado, and today you're single and thinking about moving to Colorado. We're going to take a deep dive into the best areas of Denver Metro to call home, and we're starting right now. All right, this is Destination Denver, Colorado. I'm your host, Jimmy Evertson. Listen, if you're interested in learning all the ins and outs, pros and cons to moving to or around Denver, Colorado, then this is a channel for you. So that subscribe button and notification icon you see on your screen, make sure you click on that as I'm dropping new videos for you each and every week. And as much as I try to be a low educational here on camera, I'm also a licensed mortgage broker covering the entire state of Colorado and team with some of Denver's most talented realtors. And we're helping people move here each and every day. So the number and email you see, know that I'm always the person answering your phone calls, answer your texts, answer your emails, there when and if you need me. Now that we have that fun-filled stuff out of the way, let's get to what we're here for, and that is you're single and moving to Colorado in 2024. Where are the best areas of Denver Metro to call home? All right, so before I dive in, this is video one of a 3-video series covering singles, couples, and families. And after talking to a lot of clients, people who moved here, friends, this was a combination of neighborhoods and areas that we all came up with. And I want everyone to understand, especially if you're gonna watch more than just this video, if you watch the other two, one, a lot of these neighborhoods are interchangeable. We talked about maybe affordability. So we go from singles to couples. That's not to say that someone living by themselves wouldn't want to live in those neighborhoods. It may just help to have an extra paycheck. When we talk about areas for families, again, that's not to say that a couple or someone living by themselves wouldn't want to live there. It was just a popular community, again, from clients and friends when they talked about the convenience of having children, schools, what have you. So if you're watching multiple videos in this series, understand that it's not to say that you have to be in this category to be in this neighborhood or that category to be in the other. It was just kind of a vote from clients, friends, my experience, and all, as well as conversations with realtors. Having said that, let's dive in to the first area or first group of neighborhoods for singles moving to Colorado, and that is Cap Hill and Uptown. So Cap Hill, Capitol Hill, if you're not from here, obviously located in the heart of Denver and right near the Capitol building. Capitol building is part of Cap Hill. And then right across Colfax Avenue is Uptown. So two neighborhoods that are very interrelated, very much connected. And you're talking about these downtown communities with a lot of historic charm to them. So you're gonna see a lot of old, like early 20th century, even late 19th century mansions that were built. Denver, as much as we're known for a gold rush, had a pretty heavy silver rush at one point. And so all of these big homes were built at that time. So going through Cap Hill, Uptown, you're gonna see a lot of these, again, historical mansions. You're gonna see a lot of apartments. You might see some townhomes. Understand when you see these homes, a lot of them are not detached homes. A lot of them have been chopped into apartments. So a ton of rental spaces. Certainly there are people who buy in Cap Hill, but a lot of rental spaces throughout Cap Hill and Uptown. One of the biggest factors for the benefit of living in these areas is its walkability. You have parks, you have bars, restaurants, coffee shops. Again, you're pretty close to downtown. You're not in the heart. You're not surrounded by skyscrapers, but you've got just about everything around you. You're also really close to areas like Cheeseman Park, very popular city parks, not too far from City Park for that matter. So plenty to do in that area. It's also very much a cultural hotspot. You've got art galleries, you've got a lot of different events, you've got music venues, especially right there along Colfax. You've got Bluebird, several different concert venues right there. So when we talk about between Cap Hill and between Uptown, there's just a lot to do. And playing on top of that walkability aspect, you have within Cap Hill, Lincoln, you've got parts of Broadway that are very popular. Broadway's a popular spot with a lot of restaurants, bars, what have you. And then over in Uptown, you've got both 17th and 19th Avenue. Two road strips filled with restaurants, bars, goes on for several blocks. So within this community, there is, I wouldn't say a limitless amount of things to do, but plenty to explore. I'd also mention, because of its location, because of the nature of the neighborhood, it has a pretty diverse population. And that's not just from a race and cultural standpoint, that is from different ages, different backgrounds, different people moving there. You get people from all over the country. So it really is a very healthy, my opinion, healthy melting pot. One of the best pieces of feedback I got from clients moving here was how living in these communities really helped them meet people, because there were so many other people that moved into these communities that needed to meet new people as well. Now, Cap Hill and Uptown are located like right on the edge of downtown. Uptown, you start to get into these skyscrapers of downtown, but our next two areas we're going to talk about are truly in the heart. At least one of them is, and that's lower downtown, or LoDo as locals will call it. And we're going to tie that in with River North. Again, locals will call it 5 Points, but they've started to call it RiNo more often. So between the two, LoDo is kind of the hub of downtown Denver, and it's been that since the Colorado Rockies moved to town and they built Coors Field. That is really how downtown Denver started to originate. It was around, but there wasn't much down there. That's when they started moving shops and restaurants and bars. You've got McGregor Square there now, which is right across from the ballpark. Huge apartment building with some bars, food, a lot of different things to do there. So in LoDo, you're going to see a ton of apartments, a ton of rentals. It's not really a place where you're not going to find a detached home, but you're going to find plenty of apartments and condos down in that area, whether you are buying or renting. Now, you go just down the road, and RiNo, again, 5 Points, basically interconnected, and that's why I would include them together. Now, RiNo is much more artsy, artistic. You're going to see a lot of street art. You're going to see a lot of music venues. You're going to see a lot of different festivals. There's Larimer, one of the main streets that runs through RiNo and runs through LoDo for that matter. There's times where they'll close off parts of Larimer for these street festivals, art shows. You're going to see a lot of art, really well done wall art. So when you think about LoDo, you think about RiNo, and I mentioned this at the beginning. We talk about whether you're single moving here, or you're a couple, or you have roommates. I think LoDo and RiNo is going to be in the conversation for any of them. I would say when it comes to, and I'm not like getting ahead of myself, when it comes to families, you don't see a lot of families living in LoDo. You do in RiNo. So again, if you're watching this video and you're not in the single category, that's okay. There's plenty of neighborhoods to explore within this video. I feel like someone's watching this video right now and they're like, Jimmy, I'm moving there by myself. Stick to the subject. So when you're thinking about LoDo and you're thinking about RiNo, I mean, this is the nightlife hotspot, right? This is, for people who really want to be close to being able to go out, whether it's restaurants, clubs, going out for drinks with friends, what have you, being close to museums, all of those things, but really LoDo and RiNo are the nightlife center. There's other areas you can go, but you've got a lot to do in that community. And I think for people who are in kind of that phase of life, this is going to be near the top of their ranking board. So when you look at LoDo and you look at RiNo, the other thing you're going to see is that there is an abundance of history. There are buildings that have been around for ages, but you also have a lot of newer construction and a lot of newer development. So you get a really good mix, whether you kind of like the history, whether you like some of this, this older historic aspects, or you want something a little more modern, that's your look, and really everything in between. And also, one of the biggest pieces of feedback I got about RiNo was the entrepreneurial spirit within that community. And there's a lot of independent businesses, there's a lot of startups, and again, we mentioned the art aspect there. There are a ton of local artists, musicians, just different people operating their businesses independently. That was one of the things that I knew about, but that was a big piece of feedback I got from people as I prepared to make this video. All right, so moving on to our next area number 3, and that is the Highlands. By far my favorite neighborhood in all of Denver. And the Highlands, I'm going to preface, there might be an affordability challenge for someone moving to the Highlands by themselves. I think there are options within that, and it depends on, what income and debts look like for you. But I think the Highlands overall, it's just an excellent neighborhood. So located just west of Denver. It's still Denver proper, but it's just across I-25. There's the Highlands Bridge that you can walk across right into the Highlands. And the Highlands, to me, is the perfect mix of suburban urban living. So you've got multiple neighborhoods within the Highlands with extreme walkability. Restaurants, coffee shops, cafes, mom and pop shops, boutiques, restaurants, bars, nightclubs. Not really nightclubs, I shouldn't say that, but bars. There's just a lot to do within the Highlands and within a few of these neighborhoods. As you come right across that Highlands Bridge, you are right in an area filled with some of the coolest places to check out in all of Denver. You've got Avanti, which is a great bar filled with a lot of different like food truck restaurants. It has one of the best rooftops you're gonna find. Happy Camper, an extremely popular place. Pastino's, a great wine and charcuterie board place where you can wreck an afternoon with their amazing happy hours. And you gotta check out Recess because it's dog friendly and I love bringing my pooches there. But the Highlands stretches from, again, right on that edge of downtown all the way up to Sheridan Boulevard. So there are blocks and blocks of just about every type of housing signature you would want, whether it's detached homes, townhomes, apartments, condos, duplexes, triplex. I mean, you've got it. And whether you are buying or renting, there is something for everyone. I think that the Highlands gives you, when I say that suburban urban, you've got so much to do within that community. I think you could literally spend just about all of your time in the Highlands and have something to do, but you still have the pleasure of living suburban life. Parking may be a pain in the ass. I will acknowledge that, but great living. Some relatively quiet streets at night, if you will, and a great neighborhood to explore. And along with that, I mean, you've got stunning views because you've got downtown right there. Some of the restaurants, bars, and shops in the Highlands offer just spectacular cityscapes. You've got a pretty safe neighborhood. Now, understanding, I do think, and plenty of people have told me, the closer you get to Denver, the more you're going to deal with certain situations, including homeless, which we do have a serious challenge with here in Denver. And again, always a balance. You want to be helpful, but I also want to make sure that I'm guiding people towards safety in the best way I can. We mentioned this with Cap Hill and Uptown. A lot of feedback also about like the cultural diversity of the Highlands. And again, that melting pot aspect. A lot of people moving to Denver, moving into those communities. You tend to get a lot of young professionals there, but that's not all. You really have all age ranges and just people in different elements of life. So you get a really cool melting pot aspect there in the Highlands. And then you have access to a lot of outdoor activities, including the Platte River Trail, which is right there coming out of the Highlands. You've got Commons Park, an excellent place to go and hang out. So, and pretty easy access to the mountains as well. That is one thing to consider when we're talking about the downtown areas I covered earlier of Cap Hill, LoDo, what have you. You got to get out of the city. Not that it's that big a deal, but you have to get out of the city to get up to the mountains. The Highlands, you've got pretty easy access. You can take service roads just west and get out of there, or if traffic isn't too bad, you're right off I-25, you hit 6th Avenue, you're into the mountains. Next up on the list, and I have to say, I think this is a neighborhood that really covers anybody, and that is Platt Park. So Platt Park is a bit more suburban than any of the other communities that we have covered thus far. Platt Park is located south of Denver. It's just off of South Broadway, which is one, again, of those funner strips of restaurants, bars, shops, different things going on. And Platt Park really connects as you move farther east. It connects to Wash Park and the Washington Park neighborhood. So one of the most popular things about Platt Park is the amenities it has within it, but also that access to Wash Park. And when I talk about Wash Park, the reason I bring that up is Wash Park, that's what we call it, is I would venture to say hands down the most popular park in Denver proper. Sloan's may give it like a slight run for its money, but there's nothing quite like Wash Park and how popular it is. So Platt Park, again, starting with that idea that it's more of a suburban neighborhood than what we've covered. It's quiet. It is a more laid back style of living if that is what you are looking for. Now, within that, there are still a lot of great amenities. I mentioned South Broadway earlier and the shops it has along that. Platt Park is also home to Pearl Street. So there's a Pearl Street in Boulder, that's pretty awesome, and then there's a Pearl Street in Denver. Pearl Street to me is, I like to use the word like the quintessential walking, a walkability strip where there's just everything. There's shops, there's mom and pops, there's bookstores, there's coffee shops, there's bars, there's restaurants, and it goes on for blocks and blocks and blocks. And you'll have these breaks where you'll have homes or townhomes, different living options there. You'll run into a school and then back to more shops and more places to explore. So Pearl Street is one of my absolute favorite places to hang out. And that's where I think Platt Park really gives you the beauty. Yes, is it more laid back? Is it a bit more chill than the other locations I mentioned earlier? It is, but you still have plenty of things to do, plenty of things to go do with friends or go explore, and you're still close enough to Denver where you can get downtown or you can get over to the Cap Hill or Uptown neighborhoods if you want, while having that laid back, quiet neighborhood feel. And as far as living options, as I mentioned, there's everything. There's detached homes, townhomes, apartments, condos. So far, if we kind of review, LoDo is really the only community we've talked about where it's pretty much apartments. That's what you're going to find. Everywhere else, you may not find that many like detached homes that you could just rent the entire thing in Cap Hill, but they do exist. And I do want to mention with Platt Park how many like just neighborhood and community events that also go on in that area. Many of them along Platt Park, a lot of them with the different businesses there. So when I do talk, this is a community Platt Park that I will more than likely talk about in all 3 videos because it really does fit. And not to say that life is relegated to 3 phases, but it really does fit just a variety of lifestyles. And last up, seeing as I have covered a lot around Denver or right in the heart of it, we're gonna go south about 15 minutes if there's no traffic and about 30 minutes if there is, maybe longer if the traffic's bad, and that is Greenwood Village. So within Greenwood Village, and when we talk about the tech center, again, there's a variety of options as far as living. Some of them are gonna be a bit more, I don't wanna say super upscale, but some of them will be a bit more pristine. So your price point there, whether you're buying or renting, might be a tad higher. You do get the benefit of, again, very safe neighborhoods, quiet at night, that kind of thing. One thing that I would mention, and I don't want to forget this about the tech center, it seems like it should be more walkable than it is. And I don't mean from a safety standpoint. I mean, I think you can walk just about anywhere in Greenwood Village. I mean from just the convenience of getting from one place to another. Even working in some of the offices down there, which I have throughout my career, you would think, oh, I could just leave the office, walk over here, grab something to eat. That's the case sometimes. But you don't seem to have a lot of areas in the tech center where things are a few minutes away. You tend to have a longer walk, so you end up driving in the tech center more often than you might think you would. But nice thing, obviously I mentioned earlier, it's a big business hub for a variety of different mortgage lending. There's plenty of offices there, real estate, tech, healthcare, and a lot of entrepreneurial, startups, different things of that nature. So plenty of businesses. The tech center is also home to some of the most popular restaurants in all of Denver. You throw a shoe, you're going to hit, one of the nicer steakhouses, a Shanahan's and Eddie V's. There's a lot of them to think about there. So plenty of restaurants. And then there's, again, plenty of community events, different things going on, and you could have a mix. Whether you want to be kind of in the hub of the tech center, whether you like being a little more suburban, you've got pretty much your lay of the land in Greenwood Village. The last thing I would mention is you have great access. There's a ton of nice parks. I'm gonna keep saying great. There's a ton of really nice parks in Greenwood Village. I like, sometimes getting down there and just exploring a bit myself. And then you have easy access. Again, it's pretty easy from Greenwood Village. You're most likely going to hit C470, which is just south of Greenwood Village, to shoot out to the mountains, but pretty easy access there. So a little bit of everything. Again, much more suburban, than any of the other areas that we talked about. You know, a lot of different living styles. I don't know if this is the highest price point though. I'd be interested, you know, as we look at rents, I think the Highlands will hold its own there. Platt Park, depending on what you're looking for, but really Highlands and Greenwood Village, they're gonna be neck and neck for that. But two also very different living styles. But hey, maybe some of these communities spoke to you. Maybe some you were like, no, that's not what I want. Well, that's why you gotta look out for next week's video where we're talking about couples moving to Denver, because again, it's not off limits if you're moving here by yourself. So until then, this is a perfect opportunity to let me know what neighborhoods you might like to see or what neighborhoods I missed. So that number and email popping up on your screen, know that I'm always the person, answer your phone calls, answer your texts, answer your emails, there when and if you need me. This is Destination Denver, Colorado. I'm your host, Jimmy Everett. That was Moving to Colorado, single in 2024, where to live in the Denver Metro. Until I see you next time, peace.